Recently, I went through a period of unemployment because of a huge mistake that I made while I was changing jobs. So I wanted to give my story to you all to help you avoid the same issue that I had. So make sure you watch the entire video so you can understand completely where I messed up so you won't do the same. So around November of last year, I wanted to get out of my position at the time. It just wasn't really working out with the company that I was with, so I started to apply. Actually, kind of early on with me being employed with this company. I was there for maybe 2 or 3 months, and I saw that it just wasn't the best environment for me, and I started to look around. Normally, I like to give a company at least a year or so to see how much I'll like it or not like it, but it was easy to tell that this just wasn't gonna be a good environment. So as I was applying, I started to notice that the job market was a little bit different. With me moving higher up in my career, you tend to kind of be a little more picky as far as what type of jobs you are willing to take or that you want to take. So the criteria of what I'm looking for or was looking for, was a good environment, good culture, obviously good pay, and good benefits for me and my family. There's this one particular company that I swear I've applied to this company for at least 4 or 5 times over the years, and I never could even get an interview. I would always just get the typical email template response saying, that my qualifications didn't match what they were looking for, or they found, another applicant that was a better fit and they were closing the position. But I wanted to work for this company so bad because I've always heard about how well they treated employees, how everybody was happy there. If you got there, you would typically stay there for a long amount of time. And they had a position that I felt really matched my qualifications now, and it was what I was looking for. So I decided to apply for it. To my surprise, within a week, I got a call from a technical recruiter, and she wanted to get more information about, me and my background, what I've been doing, and the conversation went really well. She let me know that she was gonna relay the information to the hiring manager and the team, and if they wanted to move forward with me, then I would receive a call back. So that very next day, she emailed me and let me know that the manager wanted to have a call with me, wanted to have an interview with me, and he wanted to speak with me with another senior manager. So that call was scheduled. I took that call a couple of days later, and it went really well. I mean, I felt good about them. They felt good about me. So I was getting pretty excited. I felt like I had some hope to get out of a bad position and a bad company. Almost a little too excited, and that's where I messed up. So after I got done with the meeting with the manager and the senior manager, I had a chance to speak with the director. Now, normally, if you get to this point to where you're speaking with somebody that's way high up that you don't really have to work with on a daily basis, it's more just, a thing of just making sure that you're somebody that they see themselves, enjoying working with, so I didn't expect anything technical. So at this point, I started to kind of feel that they're gonna offer me this position. Had the meeting with the director, and it went very well also. And they told me that they would let me know if they wanted to proceed with me or not, because at this point, that was kind of the last step. And again, the very next day, they let me know that they wanted to offer me the position. And this is where things get crazy. So obviously I'm still working with my old employer at the time. I'm just sitting there, and it's so hard for me to keep this inside, but I couldn't wait to tell them that I was resigning from my position and I was moving on. But I had to try to calm myself down and be patient about this. This new company offered me the position, obviously contingent on a drug test and a background check. And I'm thinking, hey, I don't do drugs, I don't commit crimes, I'm good. I went to do a drug test, no problems, and now I had to submit my paperwork to do a background check. So as we're going through this process as far as the background check and all of this paperwork, they asked me for a tentative start date, which is pretty normal. Anytime you're about to change jobs, they always gonna ask you, when do you want to start, so they can give you enough time to leave your current employer and make a smooth transition from moving from your old employer to the new employer. And I typically like to give a 3-week lead time. So the right thing to do is give at least 2 weeks notice for your current employer. So I like to give 2 weeks, but then I like to give an extra week, really just to relax and kind of just get my mind ready for the new company and a new job, because it's very hard to go from one job directly into another job in the span of like a weekend. So I gave a 3-week lead time, and I'm thinking, well, this is 3 weeks. They'll have plenty enough time to finish my background check, because this typically takes 5 to 10 business days. So I'm giving even an extra week just in case something happens. But apparently I did not give enough time. So here's where I made the mistake. I've never had an issue with a drug test or a background check while changing jobs. So I would always give my 3 weeks. Everything will come back quickly and clean, and I can make a smooth transition into my new employer. Once I know that my background check is in process and my drug test came back clean, I already signed the offer letter, everything's ready to to go, I give my employer my 2-week notice. And I'm getting close to the end of those 2 weeks when I'm actually transitioning out of my old employer, and I'm starting to follow up with my new employer, just getting some feedback and just making sure they got all the paperwork that was needed from me to go ahead and proceed. So the first strange thing was this new employer mentioned to me that the third party that they had that was doing the background check, which is named Sterling. I don't know if you've ever heard of Sterling, but they do a lot of background checks, especially in the tech field. They couldn't verify any of my previous employers, which was extremely strange to me. So I had to submit W-2s. I had to submit all of this proof that I didn't lie on my resume and I didn't lie on my application with this new employer. So that was the first strange thing, because I had never had that before. So I submit all the paperwork there, and then I wait a few more days and I still don't hear anything back. So I follow up again. Is there anything else that you all need from me? Just want to make sure I get this going as smoothly and as quickly as possible. She lets me know, nothing right now. Sterling is working on it. They'll let me know if there's anything else that you need. So I wait a few more days. At this point, I've already left my current employer. This has already been 2 weeks since I've left my current employer. And more time passes by with no update. So I reach out to my new employer again. And she tells me that they're having a problem verifying my background check. So I said, well, is there anything that I need to do? Or, and she says, well, no, this company, this third party, they can be known to kind of get behind and take some time on things. But she said she's never seen this issue not get resolved before. So when she says not get resolved before, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe another week or so, which would be my 3 weeks. But those 3 weeks passed by and I still don't have an update. So at this point, I'm starting to get pretty nervous as far as what's going on. Do I even really have a job? So another week passes by, another week passes by. At this point, I haven't been working for almost a month by waiting on this background check. And it got to the point to where I was so nervous about this entire situation to where I didn't know if I needed to start applying again or what it was. It was kind of like I was in limbo. Like I didn't have a job, but I kind of had a job at the same time. So to keep myself safe, I started applying again, and it was just really hard for me to get going on this because I had went through this entire process with this company. I was super excited to start working with them, and now I didn't know if I even really had a job. So to start over and going through the whole interview process and application process with some other companies and even just looking for a job again, it was pretty discouraging. I tried to stay as patient as I could because this was a time that I haven't had before to where I could get myself together mentally. I could spend more time with my family, take advantage of this free time, and just hoping and praying that everything was gonna work out with this company. But luckily, my wife and I, we take our finances very seriously. So we have an emergency fund for any type of, strange cases that may come up. So I wasn't necessarily stressed in that manner. It was more about the future, just making sure that I had somewhere to work. So the recruiter's in constant communication with me. She's telling me, don't worry, everything's gonna work out. We're so sorry that this is taking so long, but the team can't wait to meet you, and just trying to keep me encouraged. But she kept saying these things, and I started to wonder, I'm like, is she telling the truth? To the point to where I tell her, I said, look, I promise there's nothing on my background check. Ask HR if they can let me start working. If you all find something on my background check once it's complete, you can let me go. That's how confident I was that I didn't have anything to hide. But she said they couldn't. So she could tell that I'm starting to get pretty stressed about the entire situation. I didn't have any income coming in. The main thing I was really concerned about was the benefits, health benefits. I have 2 small boys and they get sick all the time. So I wanted to make sure I had health benefits to make sure they were covered in case we had to take them to the doctor or something like that. Within 2 days, the recruiter calls me and she says that the background check cleared. So now I'm able to start working. At this point, I haven't worked in 5 or 6 weeks in total since I had left my previous job, which was a pretty long time to not be actively working somewhere. It ended up working out for me, and I promise I'll never make this mistake again or take this for granted. As I mentioned before, this may be common sense to some, but believe it or not, many people do the same thing that I was doing and it could come back and hurt you in the end. So the lesson is, do not give a tentative start date until your background check clears. So they'll be understanding if you tell them, I'd rather wait till all my paperwork clears and then I can give my notice. Or you can tell them, I'll give you a date, but this is tentative on my background check clearing and the process that may take. So if I have to move it further in the future, I hope you all understand that. And for your current employer, be careful when you give your resignation, because if you run into a situation like me, it can be very embarrassing, if not right disrespectful, for you to give in your resignation and then you come back and ask them, can I continue to work for a little bit longer? That's just not a good look. Once you give your resignation, that's it. So make sure you're careful on your timing when you do the resignation and when you give your tentative start date for your new company. So if you like the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.